Welcome back, you hear of Goldberg. Today I'll be talking about a major in business administration, or how I learned to stop worrying and love retail. No, but in all seriousness, I don't typically recommend business administration or management majors for the simple fact that they're very generalized in nature, perhaps not to the extent of general studies or liberal studies, but if you're going to be spending a lot of your own money, you want to be getting training that is difficult to attain independently on the internet.com. Now, granted, if you do that, you might not have the certificate or the credential, but it's always about a cost-benefit analysis, and that's central to business. So if you have to spend, 50 grand to learn something that you could just pick up on the job very easily and readily, that's where you have to weigh if it actually makes sense or not. I should note that outside of the United States, you will see some universities where they'll have a business and economics major, and that's a little bit more on the rigorous side. It's demanding of analytical skills as far as the coursework is concerned. So I'm not trying to put everything in one bushel basket. That being said, for instance, at my school, had a fairly well-ranked undergraduate business program, and you couldn't even get a management major. That didn't exist, so it gives you a sense of things. Also, if they list something along the lines of, oh, you can be an entrepreneur with your business administration degree. An entrepreneur does not need a degree. Now, some classes in finance, accounting, maybe how to write a business proposal could be useful, but an entrepreneur is about going out there, and it's really street smarts. It's about doing your own research, making connections. You don't need a 4-year degree to prepare you for that. In fact, it could be shooting you in the foot, depending on, the type of person that you are. In fact, there's a really great scene from the Rodney Dangerfield movie where he goes to school. It's probably on YouTube. And the economics professor is trying to teach everyone how a business operates. And he's been in, I think, construction or something. And he's just saying, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You got to grease these people. You got to pay off these. Make sure the mayor's good. So that's practical, on the ground experience that you're not going to get in a business program 9 times out of 10, probably more. So just be aware of that as far as considering what type of majors you might pursue. Obviously, because business administration is general, there's a lot of different possibilities as far as jobs are concerned, but that doesn't necessarily mean wherever you go to school it's going to line up to this particular profession. So when you hear some people saying, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be a CEO. Well, what company? What steps are you taking? Are you doing the appropriate networking? All that should occur in college, obviously, being active in leadership positions, looking for internships. But if you go to a low-tier school, you have a shot at becoming a CEO, but you're going to have to really grind in a corporation for many years. So just be aware of that unless you start your own company. But again, do you really need a degree to start your own company? That's the big question. Just starting out here, administrative services and facilities managers, you have 6% growth, 21,000 jobs. I think that's going to be big, especially facilities with all the data centers that are going up. So that would be one potential angle to consider. Compensation and benefits managers, only 3% growth, 500 jobs. Holy crack. That's not good. Human resource managers, 6% and 10,000 jobs. I think human resources is increasingly going to just be done through like a self-serve robotic system, which will be inferior, as bad as many, current human HR departments are. But that's just how they'll do it to further separate you from the company. So you're just essentially a little, nondescript unit in the machine, or cog. Purchasing managers, 7% decline, less 40,000 or almost 40,000 jobs. That's not good. Imagine that it's to do with how technology is changing the system and a lot of things are becoming automated. So, it's not obviously business because it's so generalized, because business exists in many different facets. This is not the extent of your options. It's just to give you some sense. If you're specifically trying to work for someone else, those are some of the possible routes and how they're looking as far as job growth. So now let's just take a look at a couple of options. This is Geico. I brought it up before, but it's the Management Development Program. And if you don't immediately see one of these listed, you can try to apply for one of the auto damage adjuster positions, and sometimes they'll just pull you out of that for management development if you're competent, you can express good communication skills and whatnot. And you see there, bachelor's degree required, preferably business, at least 3.0 GPA, and some leadership experience. So that's one way. If you're trying to work for another company, you get in the door and you start moving up. You have to look for that sort of program. We're going to train you, we're going to pay you, and you'll be able to go up in the ranks. But don't just start there. Ideally, you have some internship experience while you're in college, or you've at least run a business of your own to some degree of success to show that you're capable of getting stuff done. This one is similar. It's M&T Bank, and you'll see others for many other commercial banks. Banking may be somewhat going into decline, depending on what your role is. But nevertheless, this is another, you come in there, you start learning, and I think they start basically preparing you to be a branch manager or assistant branch manager or that sort of thing. So if you have a knack for finance, that could be a potential option. Just understand, all positions in business, but even banks, people don't realize it, banks are primarily about sales. So if you don't have good people skills, it's going to be hard to do well and get those bonuses and move up, because you're going to have to be able to push products on people, inevitably. And then I also wanted to bring this up. This is local government management fellowship positions. Oftentimes they'll be on the county level, sometimes city level, and you can do that with business if you have an MBA. So let's say you do your undergrad in business administration, you do the accelerated MBA, or you even get an MPA, public administration. You could go into one of these different institutions, municipalities, and they train you in the management of government. So that could have a business side, a finance side, constituent services side. So that's one way. Probably not going to pay as much as some of these other private sector positions to start with, but if you get up into being a manager in the government, you will be pretty well taken care of. So that's my view of business administration. Like I said, there's probably better options within the field of business if you want to study, actually go to school for it. But it is possible you're going to be in those positions where, you might be working for the government, you're already entrenched in a corporation, you are in the military and you just need a degree and it's paid for, and you don't want to necessarily pursue something very rigorous. That could be something to do, but if you're paying for it out of your own pocket, I would be hesitant to spend too much money on something that's so general. So, any other degrees you want to see considered, just drop them below.